All right, let's talk about something that's all around you, but you've probably never seen. Just look at your phone, the shirt you're wearing, even your coffee mug. Good chance all of it crossed an ocean to get to you. But have you ever stopped to think, what keeps that entire planet-spanning system safe? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on an invisible shield that protects global trade, a powerful security code that was actually born from one of the darkest days in modern history. You know, this one line from the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, it says it all. This was a massive turning point. Before 9/11, when people thought about maritime security, they were thinking about stuff like piracy or theft. But afterwards, the world's leaders had to face a brand new and frankly terrifying possibility. And this was the question that was keeping them up at night. I mean, think about it. Could a huge container ship or an oil tanker be hijacked and used as a floating bomb against a major city? Could it be used to just completely paralyze a country's economy? The answer, they realized, was a horrifying yes. And all of a sudden, the world's shipping lanes looked incredibly vulnerable. Yeah, the attacks revealed this giant hole in global security. The systems we had back then just weren't designed to stop a ship from becoming a target, or even worse, a tool for terrorism. The economic lifelines of the entire planet were exposed, and something had to be done, and it had to be done fast. And what happened next was pretty incredible. Just look at this timeline. Only 2 months after the attacks, the IMO calls for a complete review of everything. And then in just over a year, which is lightning fast for international agreements, by the way, the ISPS code was adopted. By July 2004, it was the law of the sea, a truly global, coordinated response to a threat that just couldn't be ignored. So what was the solution? It was a single, planet-wide security rulebook, a set of standards that every single major port and every big ship would have to follow. The idea was to create a universal language for maritime security that just hadn't existed before. And here it is. It's called the International Ship and Port Facilities Security Code. It's a bit of a mouthful, so everyone just calls it the ISPS code. Basically, it's a super detailed set of measures to beef up security on ships and in ports. And it wasn't just a friendly suggestion. They made it a mandatory part of the SOLAS Convention, which is the big international treaty for ship safety. So yeah, this thing had real teeth. Now, the real genius of the code is how it's structured. It's split into 2 parts. Part A is mandatory. These are the hard and fast rules, the things that governments and shipping companies absolutely must do, no exceptions. Then you have Part B, which is more like guidance. It's the how-to manual, giving you advice on the best ways to meet those strict requirements in Part A. It's this really smart combo of firm rules and flexible advice. And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. The ISPS code isn't just a checklist you go through one time. Nope, it's a living, breathing system of risk management. Its whole purpose is to give everyone, from a port in Singapore to a ship heading to Rotterdam, the same playbook for evaluating threats and changing their security level to match. It's built to be dynamic. And one of the most powerful tools it created is something you can think of as a universal threat meter for the entire maritime world. It's a way for everybody, everywhere, to be on the exact same page about how risky things are at any given moment. And this table shows how brilliantly simple it is. There are just 3 levels. Level 1 is normal. That's your everyday baseline security. Level 2 is heightened. If there's a bigger risk, you add more protective measures. And then there's level 3, imminent. This is the highest alert used when an incident is probably about to happen. It's simple, it's clear, and it's understood all over the world. So who gets to decide what level we're on? Well, that's up to each individual government. Based on their own intelligence, a country sets the security level for its own ports, for the ships flying its flag, and for the waters it controls. So it's this really cool international framework, but with national control. Okay, so we've got this universal threat meter. That's great. But who's actually doing all the work? This is the other stroke of genius in the code. It created this clear chain of responsibility to make sure there are no weak links. Security becomes someone's specific job at every single level. And here's how it breaks down. On land, every shipping company needs a company's security officer, or CSO. Then on every single ship, there's a ship security officer, the SSO. And right there at the dock, you've got a port facilities security officer, the PFSO. All of these jobs are required by law, and they create this huge network of security pros who are all speaking the same language. And their job is never, ever done. It's a constant cycle. You do a thorough security assessment to find your weak spots. Then you create a detailed security plan to fix them. You get that plan approved by the government, and then you put it into action.
but you're always reviewing it because the risks are always changing. So, what does all of this, all this paperwork and planning actually do in the real world? How does it create that invisible shield we mentioned? Well, let's look at the actual impact.
First off, this is a serious investment. Get this, a study found that the average annual cost just to stay compliant with the ISPS code was over $100,000 for a single port facility. Now, multiply that by the thousands of ports all over the globe, and you really start to see the scale of the commitment here. But you know what? That investment paid off, big time. Since the code came in, there's been a huge drop in everyday stuff like theft and stowaways. But way more importantly, it built this tough global system to fight back against major threats like terrorism, piracy, and smuggling. And all of that gives us more stability and confidence in the supply chain we all depend on. And that's really the bottom line. The ISP's code basically raised the security bar for everybody, making the entire system much stronger and more resilient. So the next time you unbox a new phone or see one of those massive container ships on the horizon, just remember there's this invisible code, this legacy of 9/11, working silently in the background to keep the world's commercial arteries flowing safely. Our whole modern world is built on these incredibly complex systems that we almost never see. The ISPS code is one of them. It's a shield for our seas. And that leaves me with one final thought for you. What other invisible systems are out there, quietly protecting you and making your life possible every single day?